Coach, after your lengthy road trip, how good will it be to at least have these next three at home?
Yeah, it's great to be back in front of our fans. The energy in the building, get a little decent routine. Being at home is going to be definitely necessary for this group, for our guys, and for our fans.
Jamahl, you said the other night in Atlanta that you didn't do your job to prepare your team the way you wanted to. Is there anything you do differently or change up to prepare the team for next games or anything like that?
Well, you mentioned it this morning. You know how it's a kind of a double series, playing them tonight and then playing them Sunday. But obviously, focusing on just tonight is going to be very important. Dialing into their tendencies, knowing what they do, more on the game plan, understanding our defense and how it can limit them to the things that they love to do. Then offensively, knocking down exactly where we need to be on the floor, the spacing, the timing, all of those small details that we've hit over the past few days.
Obviously, it's not exactly the same team that you guys faced last year in the playoffs, but is there any extra motivation just being the team that was eliminated, you guys facing the Celtics now for 2 games?
I think there's always, little small pieces of knowing a team and being around them that, there's a little bit of tension between the two teams. Obviously, this also being a cup game, those situations add a little bit to the punch. But for the most part, it's just us wanting to make sure we take care of home.
Coach, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. The Banchero-Bane pick and pop, there was a sequence in the Hawks game, second quarter. You guys ran it like 6 times in a row, scored like 12 points, 6 possessions. Good shots, scoring every time. What kind of advantages does that create for the team, and can you kind of foresee that becoming a staple primary option for the offense with even more volume going forward?
I mean, I think you have to continue to look at it. You just said the numbers of what it scored and what it does. And, you make sure that's something that you can go to because those two guys can obviously make shots, make plays, and then it creates a problem that defense have to rotate to those guys as well. So now we, create an option for others as well.
Coach, you said with the 2-game little mini-series, you got to lock into the tendencies and everything. With this being such a different team, how much of that can you extrapolate from how you played them in the playoffs last year versus the kind of new styles? Because they're playing a very new way on both ends.
Well, Joe does a great job with that group, both offensively and defensively. They're still getting up the high amount of threes. So knowing we got to protect the 3-point line, you've got to guard your guys, guard one-on-one, knowing that these guys are, they can get to the isolation and the guys that can flat out score. Adding Simons to that punch is another option. So knowing how to guard your yard one-on-one, and then 2, making sure the help is there and understanding where you want to limit, their shots from coming from.
Coach, this team obviously traded for Desmond Bane, knowing what he's been able to do in Memphis over the last couple of years. When you look at him, Paolo, and Franz right now, his usage is down by far the most since last year. It's about 30% down. Franz and Paolo are relatively even and down a little bit. Would you like to see that more even and get the ball in Desmond's hands a little bit more and just kind of maybe get back to what he did in Memphis, facilitating a little bit more?
Yeah, I think that's all on the table. You look at guys coming into a new situation. Obviously, playing with Ja and those guys is different than playing with Paolo and Franz. Both Paolo and Franz are able to get downhill, so that creates more space. Both are playmakers and creators in different ways. Desmond has been a playmaker and creator for a long time in his career, also being able to space the floor. So there's the ability to get him more touches, more options to play in the pick and roll. As we just talked about, the 2-4 pick and roll is an option that generated a lot of offense. So I think those are things that we continue to look at. And in an 8-game sample size, being able to find the right thing for these guys to each find their space, and along with Jalen jumping in there as well, with the minutes.
Paolo is being utilized in a more efficient way by some of the numbers this season, with more rim shots, more free throws than ever in his career, and less long mid-range twos, less 3-point attempts in his career, but a career high in true shooting percentage. But most efficient season of his career. Is that a conscious effort from the coaching staff communicating with him about the way utilizing him? We mentioned like the pick and rolls and getting him more as a roller, or is that all him changing his shot selection?
I think it's been him this summer, knowing exactly how he wanted to work, what he needed to do, and then us as coaches making sure we put him in the right position to be successful. The combinations that work with him as a screener, the combinations that work with him as a ball handler, all of those different situations we want to be able to look at to make it easier on him to create for himself, but as well for others.
Coach, you mentioned Jalen a bit ago. He's been at about 20 minutes the last 5 or 6 games. When do you envision him being fully ramped up, and is he still sort of on that minutes restriction tonight?
You'd like to try to ramp him up a little bit more, but you obviously want to be careful for the long haul of the season, being smart with it. That plays a part in a lot of rotations, a lot of guys coming in and out of the game, trying to find that rhythm. But the more we can get his minutes up, the better it'll be, because then there's a routine and a continuity that can happen when you guys have similar lineups on the floor. Thank you all. Appreciate it.